different sectors. They also talked about the survival of states. They looked at agriculture, what the government needs to do now and of course in years to come. After the break, my guest will be joining me and will attempt to look at some of the highlights and possibly, you know, bring up some solutions. But don't forget to join us online. Tweet me, Nancy Lou is the handle. We'll be right back. right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, it's Nigeria's #1 financial newsroom. My guests are joining me right now, two gentlemen. I'll start the introduction from my immediate left. He's Kaloma Dahiru Mustafa, isn't it? He's a policy analyst. You're also a lawyer, isn't it?
Actually, I'm a lawyer and a politician.
Oh, Okay. So
and the policy analyst.
So I think we'll take the policy analyst now because it's not politics right now.
Okay.
So
No.
you would take the hat, or the hat you're wearing is the policy analyst hat today. So welcome to the show.
Welcome, thank you.
All right, close to him is Robert Martins. He's a media and EIA consultant. EIA means Environmental Impact Assessment. Okay, so it's for you to assess the impact of what we're going to be looking at. Yes, the National Economic Council retreat. So, gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
I think it's like a week now. It's almost, it's over a week since the National Economic Council met. Though they did say that we had, at our last meeting in January, in January we said we were going to meet sometime. That's talking about the NEC retreat, to have a retreat and to strategize and, of course, postulate some ways forward for the country. The NEC retreat has come and gone, but are the echoes still there, so to speak? What did you take out of the retreat? Was there anything to take out? I'll start with you.
Well, I'm not an economist, but fundamentally the good thing about it is that the economy of the country is now being addressed by the administration from a multifaceted approach, because the government is taking now a coordinated look at how its policies and the politics of the country will affect the bottom line for the people. So the fact that it has taken place and honest discussions were made, and from a broad perspective there is a coordination of effort, I think Nigerians should be confident about what it presupposes.
We should be confident that at the end of the day,
yeah, the economic outlook, if we do focus on agriculture, which appears to be the main theme, about how to get our youth employed and gainfully engaged, how to build our capacity to produce the food that we eat, reduce the dependency on the dollar and imports for everything that we require. I think that should be the policy direction for any responsible government, and it's a good thing that it has happened.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a bit. What do you think, Mr. Martins, of the NEC retreat? They had a lot of thematic areas. They had a lot of highlights that were reached. What do you think? Any good thing, or is this a good thing that came out?
Well, it's a good thing. There is nothing wrong with talking. We've been talking. We've had a series of such retreats in the past. But what matters most is the action. After the retreat, what next? It appears that all the things that were discussed were good. There were things that Nigerians want to hear. But we expect that beyond the talking, the government should take steps to implement those issues that were discussed and those far-reaching decisions that were taken at that retreat. So I'm not excited about the retreat until I start seeing positive impacts on the lives of every Nigerian as a result of this retreat.
What time frame should we give the government to implement some of these highlights or some of these decisions that were reached at the NEC retreat? Should we give the government a timeline as a result of these highlights?
Yeah, we should.
How long do you think that we should give the government before we start demanding, okay, there was a retreat, the governors, the ministers, or some ministers, the central bank governor was there. What point, what time frame do you think we should give the government and begin to demand actions? Or begin to demand results?
Results.
Rather, yeah.
6 months is okay.
6 months.
Yeah, in 6 months, a government that knows what it's doing should be able to implement basic policies. Because when you look at, in terms of policy formulation, we have the long term, the short and the medium term. So we should expect a medium term policy. I mean, we should start seeing results from some of those things that were discussed at the NEC retreat.
So between now and September, so to speak, we should begin to
start
see
demanding, Nigerians should start demanding.
Or between now and September, we should see the concrete actions by government. Then from September
we should see results.
Okay. When you were talking earlier on, you said that a responsible government, I took that, I actually took that when you said that a responsible government should begin to take actions. Do you think that this government has been responsible and is responsible?
Well, without, listen, for you to effect change in any system, you need a machinery to do that. There's no need to say, because everybody knows that the machinery of government in Nigeria has, over the past, proved inefficient to be able to meet with the expectations of the people. So the problems in the country there are problems in the society itself, social, economic, and otherwise. And the institution that is supposed to be responsible to effect those changes also is sick and requires to be fixed. There are a lot of good ideas that are flying around, and the administration is aware of these ideas from at least the communications that you've been receiving.
What communications? Because there have been mixed communications. Well, yes, there have been communications that have been sending different signals. Take a look at the oil sector, for example.
Yes.
Kachuku will say this, he will say, later he'll come, oh, I was misunderstood, or Nigerians didn't understand him, or no, the fuel scarcity will end in May. Okay, no, it's in a few weeks' time, come off it. So, well, you're a media consultant, isn't it? You said earlier on that it's good to talk. But the thing is that if you're talking, you should talk in a way that you will be understood. So if you're saying that this administration has been communicating,
so you think maybe there's a miscommunication between
Don't you think so? That's what I'm asking. Well, because at that point, Nigerians were actually seeking out information. Nigerians are saying, or said, the economy does not have the blueprint.
Sorry for interjecting.
Just hold on a bit. Let me land so that you can respond.
I think I need to hold you. You need to ask specifically what it is that you're expecting in terms of specifics and timelines. I like the question you asked the gentleman regarding when is he expecting the implementation of some of these policies, and when is he expecting the results of such implementation. And he gave you a result of what?
6 months.
6 months for the results.
Between now and 6 months, yeah.
Well, any real social change is evolutionary in nature. And I will say this, there has never ever been a successful revolutionary social change in human history. Ideas can be revolutionary, but if you want long-lasting effects of the things that you do, it has to be evolutionary over a period of time. The societal ills that we have, the inefficiencies of the government itself, all of them are also economic and financial realities because it's a social web. There's a human element to all this. You can't just, snap your fingers and expect things to work.
Exactly, like a magic wand.
Yes,
I understand that.
There ought not to be a gap in communication between people.
Okay, can I come in now?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I've given you, I've allowed you, yeah.
Go ahead.
The question of where I actually hinged my questioning was on communication. Yes. And I was actually asking that.
No, you were making conclusions as well.
No, I was not making conclusions. Hold on, you're a Nigerian, for crying out loud. You go out on the street, forget the cameras before us. You hear what people say outside. This has been, I took an example in the fuel, this lingering fuel crisis. Yes. There's been a lot of issues concerning the fuel crisis, even from the NNPC. Oh, it will be broken down to 5. It will be broken down to 7 divisions. It will be done, it will be this. No, it's about restructuring. Are you speaking
about the unbundling of the NNPC or the problem of fuel?
Hold on. I'm talking about the communication from this administration. I'm asking, don't you think that the administration should communicate better? Nigerians actually called, we want to see a blueprint of the administration. The economy seems to be on a standstill before we had the NEC retreats, which we are trying to discuss here. So I'm saying, moving forward, if the administration haven't done communication rightly, or in a way they need to tweak things, do you think that this administration needs to communicate better? That's what I'm asking.
It depends on the context within which we look at the information available. What exactly are you asking that you're not being given? There's a Freedom of Information Act, and the tone that this discussion is going, I did not expect it to be kind of like an adversarial discussion, because it appears like I have become an unwitting defendant of the administration.
I want you to feel comfortable, but I'm feeling that perhaps because you're putting your politician hat, you don't want to be objective.
No. I think you are not being objective.
I think you are not being objective because I'm echoing the minds of Nigerians.
You're an educated person.
Do you buy fuel? When last were you in the queue? I'm asking.
I bought fuel for 168 naira only 2 days ago. Okay. Hold on, while I was on my way to condole people that died in my locality in Jigawa State. I am in tune with the everyday man.
So as I'm asking that now, hold on. Adversary to you because I experienced that too.
The issue is that you know, you asked the question whether I live in this country. That presupposes that I have no understanding of the problems that people are facing. I do. I'm on the first line of attack because I deal with people at the grassroots level, people who are in abject poverty, hopelessness, lack of opportunities. My local government area, about 300,000 people in that local government area, 87% of the houses in that area are made of mud. There is no real industry in that entire place. We have just one microfinance bank and that's it. But we have a lot of arable land that could be farmed. It's good for farming of watermelons and so many other things. The investment in the infrastructures required and the support extension services to provide these people for them to be able to fend for themselves have not been provided over a long period of time. So having a coordinated approach towards providing these things for these people is the economics that I understand. I understand the economics of that local environment because I come face to face with it every day.
So
if we're discussing abstracts, you know, or fancy sounding economic terms, the audience I would expect is those hapless and poor Nigerians are suffering as a result of everything. So let's speak a language they understand.
That is what I think you're now coming back to where I want this interview to go, because you've just said that you've experienced there's poverty in the streets. We go to our various villages, even in the city.
Even foreigners know that, not talk less of Nigerians.
Do you understand? Yes. Now, what you said about your local or your
local economy,
your local economy, I'm very interested in that because part of the highlight here was concerning agriculture. Let's bring extension services to the people in agriculture. So I like that you raised that issue. That's actually what I asked you earlier in terms of, can this administration communicate better? Can they communicate better to that person in your community or in my community that this is what we have to do? These are our plans. Can you be patient with us? We know, communicate in a way that it will sound well.
The role of a politician in a modern economy or modern democracy like ours is to not only, if you're in government, by the way, I think it's important I mention, I'm a special advisor to the Jigawa State government on intergovernmental affairs.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So,
I didn't know that.
Okay.
I'm just knowing that now.
Good.
So bringing in your politician.
Exactly.
Back.
So
okay, nice.
I have a fair understanding of the difficulties of implementing ideas in an environment of change. So I can speak competently about what we are doing in Jigawa State to address these issues. What they're doing at the national level is not discouraging to us at the state level, and we are the ones who have the direct contact with the people at that kind of level. And we're confident with the general direction that the president is looking at it. We're not yet getting a full economic team in order like we did in the past and everything. And some of these advices and criticisms should maybe spur the government into, you know, like not only better communication. There are clearly some things maybe that could have been done better. But under the circumstances, I think we should respect that there is relative political stability in the country today, which should provide a clear foundation for sound economic policies to come up. But to bridge that huge gap between the ultimate need of a constituent, maybe in Barbara local government, which is mine, somebody who has a family, can't feed them, lives in abject poverty, no health care, no nothing. For me to have the confidence that we're on the track through agriculture and increasing extension services like we mentioned, increasing access to credit, all of these things are already happening. There's an anchor borrower scheme that is
Yeah.
going on all over the place. In
So it's launched
Kebbi,
by the central bank.
exactly.
Sometime in January.
Sometime in January,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
The one in Kebbi State is a model to follow. Look at the partnership between Kebbi State and Lagos State in terms of creating a linkage between production of agriculture and
rice,
providing a market and steady for it. These kind of things are perhaps not enough in terms of results that people want to see, but it should inspire enough confidence for people to believe that once the machinery of government and the mechanism of administrating the country and providing the actual changes that are needed, then it's commendable. But if we want results, and we want results in 6 months, you understand, we will be forced, you will force the administration to start doing things that appear that, you know, wonderful things are happening. Cosmetic changes, cosmetic things.
Okay, I think I'll halt you at that. I will take you a bit on some, I'll follow you up on something. What do you actually think? Because the NEC retreat has come and gone, so to speak. So we're waiting to see what
the effects.
Yes, the effects, especially on some of the thematic areas which they highlighted: agriculture, solid minerals, revenue generation, infrastructure, fiscal responsibility, and all of that. What do you think, actually?
Well, let me start by the question you asked him as regard the information.
That we almost fought. Okay, go ahead, please.
All right. Incidentally, this present administration have almost 5 media advisors. 4 or 5.
Okay, are you talking about this administration or the president?
The president.
Femi Adesina and
Shehu Garba, the Minister of Information.
Okay.
And there is no single economic advisor to the president.
I've talked about it on the show many times, that there is no economic advisor to the president.
It doesn't have any. And few weeks from now, this present administration will be 1 year in office. And that will be like 1/4 of its tenure. For how long will we continue like that?
If you say economic advisor, do you mean the designation, somebody occupying an office that is called economic advisor, or are you talking about the functionality?
Both the office and the functionality.
So you mean that the president, as far as you are concerned, is not on the economy?
Maybe from friends and associates.
Perhaps I should come in. Perhaps I should come in here. Is a lot of people, a lot of people have said that there is a need for an economic advisor. Don't you think so? The president has even special assistants to the National Assembly on. Do you understand? Both at the House of Reps and even at the Senate. You think the economy is not huge enough for the president to have a chief economic advisor? I do know that he gets advice. The central bank governor is there. If you don't, okay, the Minister of Finance is there. Kemi Adeosun, just a phone call away.
If the suggestion is coming from the perspective that the functionality is not being properly handled under the current expectation, of course, why not? But if the functionality itself is being carried satisfactorily, I don't think that you just need to create it for the sake of it. We're speaking about this is money you're discussing.
Yes, economy. Yeah,
Nigeria as a country, majority of its foreign exchange earnings and indeed the resources that come to this country come from the sale of crude oil. The prices of the crude oil that has crumbled over the last year or so is no news. The size of the government.
Revenue has dropped.
Revenue has dropped. The size of government has risen significantly from 1999 till date. Every day, recurrent expenditure keeps encroaching into capital expenditure for us to implement all these wonderful ideas that we're discussing. Government itself costs a lot of money to do. In my state, for example, we've embarked on a lot of cost-cutting measures right from day one, trying to reduce the cost of doing governance. Cutting the expenses of the government house, for instance, by close to, I think, 50, 60 or something million, I can't remember the figures exactly, to less than 20 million in a month, in order to reflect the harsh financial realities that we have to operate under. But the expectations are also heightened by the way the politics was played in the last place, people have expectations of results immediately. We have less resources available than previous governments. So we have to be responsible in terms of how we even decide to allocate the resources. We have initiatives that are meant to do what we call employment substitution over a period of the next 4 years. And the whole aim is for us to cut and keep recurrent expenditure and the cost of governance at
you're talking
a very low level.
Jigawa State.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're looking at it nationally.
No, what I'm saying,
yes.
what I'm saying is that I have the competence to discuss
yes.
the internal.
Okay, let me bring you, because we are coming to the end of the show. Actually, we just have about 5 minutes left. Part of what was discussed at the NEC retreat was also the survival of states, and let me just read through what the NEC, the Economic Council said. To strengthen states' peer review mechanism under the auspices of the Governors Forum
yes.
and the National Economic Council to promote sharing of good practices between the federal and the state governments.
Yes.
I do know that the states have the peer review mechanism. I've talked about it here on the show, you know, many times, even some years ago, anchored shows around it, brought consultants even from the Governors Forum to look at what the states can actually learn and how they can have a healthy competition amongst each other. Now, of course, your state is Jigawa State. Which state are you from, sorry?
Abia.
Abia. I'm from Delta State.
Okay.
So we're looking at now, how can our various states learn from each other? That's one. Then number two, can our states actually survive right now? Can the states in Nigeria actually survive, except for perhaps Lagos? Not even Rivers now. Perhaps Lagos that gets close to over 200 billion naira yearly from IGR. Can our states survive? Just quickly.
Well, of course, our states can survive. When you have right policies in place, you could generate internal revenue, and by so doing, the state can survive. Now, all we need are we need leaders who are creative. We need leaders who knows what it takes to generate revenue from their state. You know, we should look beyond the oil money. But by the time we keep electing leaders who eyes, mindset, and everything centered on the oil money, we'll keep revolving around the same cycle.
Okay, so you have the view that our states can survive,
can.
but our leaders or the various state governors
should look inward, yes.
And get more money from IGR.
Yes.
What do you have to say? Seems that you were not quite comfortable because I saw your reaction. Like, what do you think? At least you're in Jigawa State. You're a government person. So tell us from the government perspective, can states actually survive? Can you guys actually survive without the allocation from Abuja every month?
We can't right now.
You can't.
We cannot.
So what happens if the allocation dries up? What happens if oil suddenly
this is
we don't have money again
this
now?
This is exactly the reason why the economic policies that we're implementing are trying to reflect our reality, as opposed to getting money from federal allocation, even in boom times, and building a lot of white elephant projects that are fantastic to have on the books, but they don't affect the bottom line. They don't affect the majority of people in any positive way. For instance, we have an airport that was built by the last administration in the state. I feel proud that finally my state capital has an airport, and it's a beautiful one at that.
So you can actually fly into Duse?
You can fly into Duse. They have 3 flights from Overland Airways that land
Oh,
there.
you're advertising for them, just hold it there.
No, hang on, hang on. The problem is, that first of all, the state has to subsidize that, and there's not enough volume that would have justified those investments in a state that majority of people are agrarian, they have no jobs to do. So we now, under these harsh conditions, we have to think about how to get the biggest bang for our buck in terms of the impact that it has on the people. So we have to look at the bottom line.
Okay.
My role to manage the relationship between the state and the federal means that there is a lot of sharing of information both between states and between the state and local governments to coordinate, especially in the sectors that were highlighted at the retreat. Exactly, so that there will be a cohesion of policy and cohesion of direction between what the states are thinking, the experiences we've already gained so far, and how we can chart a course forward for the benefit of Nigeria.
Okay, I'm afraid that's the much you can take on the edition of the show, because I need to take some tweets before we go, because Nigerians have been commenting, so we should just give them. Okay, Dave Nnamdi says, for speedy materialization of resolutions reached during the next summit, periodic monitoring of proposed methodologies is vital. While Ejiga Friday says, I hope Baba and his team will be pragmatic and follow up the rolled out plans. Zimbe says the reality is problems can only be solved when we articulate them. Government seems not to know the problems, talk less of solving them. Our cousin says, cute and diligent, I enjoy your shows. Thank you very much. All right, that's the much we can take, gentlemen, on the program. Perhaps another edition will be done in terms of looking at states' viability. You know, talking about the survivability of the states. Though I do that a lot of times on the show, but it seems it's never enough. Perhaps people like you should be listening more to us or listening more to Nigerians, the governors. So send back. All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the program. Of course, I've been talking to two gentlemen on the show. Of course, Kaloma Dahiru Mustafa, it's a policy analyst, he's a lawyer. He's also a politician. You told me you had a special
advisor to Jigawa State Governor on Intergovernmental Affairs.
Okay. All right. While Robert Martins Eze is a media and EIA consultant. EIA means Environmental Impact Assessment. We've been looking at the NEC retreat that was recently held here in Abuja. So have a great day, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you for your comments, but please join us tomorrow, same time on this channel, God willing. Tomorrow is Friday, isn't it? Oh, thank God it's Friday, so the last edition for the week. All right, be the best you can be the change you also want to see. I am Nancy Ilo. God bless Nigeria. Bye now.